Chapter 1. There's a special kind of anger that hits a man when he finds out she cheated, and it's not even the anger people expect. It's not just rage, it's confusion mixed with humiliation. It's the feeling of being played while you were trying to do things the right way. It's the moment where you look back at every time you chose patience over ego, every time you chose loyalty over options, every time you chose her over temptation, and you ask yourself a question that feels almost childish, but it's real. If I was good to her, why wasn't that enough? That question can turn a good man into a bitter man if he doesn't get clarity. It can turn a man who used to love hard into a man who never trusts again. It can take a man who used to lead with honor and make him feel stupid for having standards. And that's why this video matters, because people love giving men cute advice after betrayal. They tell you to heal. They tell you to move on. They tell you not all women. And sure, not all women cheat. And sure, you should heal. But none of that answers the real question a man is trapped inside. What makes a woman cheat on a good man, specifically? And before we even go deeper, I want to say something clearly because this channel isn't here to create hate. When we say women, we're talking about patterns some women fall into, not a law of nature stamped on every woman's forehead. Cheating is not feminine biology. Cheating is character, choices, and psychology. Men cheat too. Women cheat too. And good man also doesn't automatically mean you were perfect. It just means you were loyal, you were trying, and you weren't treating her like trash. That's the man who gets confused the most because he assumes being good guarantees safety. It doesn't. Being good increases your odds of building something real with a good woman, but it does not protect you from a woman with low self-control, low accountability, unresolved trauma, or a hunger for validation. That's the part men need to understand if they want to stop being naive without becoming cold. Most men think cheating is just lust. They think it's purely physical. They picture some guy swooping in and taking her, like women are objects that can be stolen. But women don't usually cheat like that. Not always. A lot of women cheat through emotions first. They cheat through attention. They cheat through secret conversations that slowly become intimate. They cheat through the feeling of being desired, being seen, being pursued. Sometimes the physical part is almost an afterthought compared to the emotional high. That doesn't make it less wrong. It makes it more dangerous, because emotional cheating can start while you still think everything is fine. That's why good men get blindsided. A good man thinks loyalty is a switch. He thinks if she's with me, she's with me. He thinks we're committed means we're safe. But commitment doesn't protect you from resentment, and commitment doesn't protect you from temptation if she's the type of woman who chases dopamine and doesn't have discipline. Commitment doesn't protect you from a woman who needs attention like oxygen. Commitment also doesn't protect you from a woman who doesn't respect you. And that one hurts to hear, but we have to say it, because respect plays a bigger role in female loyalty than most men want to admit. A woman can love you and still cheat. That sentence makes people uncomfortable because they want love to be pure. They want love to be a shield. But love is not the same as character. Love is a feeling. Character is a decision. A woman can feel love for you and still be selfish, still be impulsive, still be emotionally immature, still be entitled, still be the type of person who avoids accountability. The same way a man can love a woman and still cheat because he wants variety, ego, or conquest. Love is not a guarantee. It's a foundation, but the structure still depends on the quality of the person standing on it. So when we talk about why women cheat on good men, we're not doing it to create paranoia. We're doing it to create clarity. Because clarity helps you choose better and lead better. Clarity helps you stop rewarding the wrong traits. Clarity helps you spot patterns early, and clarity helps you build relationships with women who actually deserve a good man, because the world has plenty of women who do deserve one. But they're not always the loudest. They're not always the most seductive. They're not always the ones with the most attention online. Sometimes they're the quiet ones who value peace, discipline, and loyalty. And those women don't get chosen because men are distracted chasing fantasy. If you've ever been cheated on or you've ever feared it, like the video because men need honest conversations about this. Subscribe to Love Delusion because we're going to tell the truth without turning you into a bitter guy who hates women. And comment clarity if you're done being naive and you want to see relationships the way they actually are, not the way movies sell them. Now, let's start with the first reality that makes this whole thing make sense. A lot of women cheat because they don't know how to sit in dissatisfaction like an adult. They don't communicate, they don't confront, they don't work through boredom, stress, or unmet desires with maturity. They escape. They distract themselves. And cheating is the most extreme form of escape because it gives instant relief. It gives instant attention. It gives instant excitement. It gives instant power. And the sad part is, you can be a good man and still lose to a moment of excitement if she values excitement over stability. A good man is often stable, predictable in the best way, consistent, loyal, calm. He builds, he provides. He's not chaotic. And to a healthy woman, that's heaven. To an unhealthy woman addicted to emotional spikes, that stability feels boring. It feels like a lack of intensity. It feels like something is missing. So she starts chasing stimulation. She starts flirting just for fun. She starts entertaining conversations she should shut down. She starts enjoying the power of being desired by men outside the relationship. And then one day, she crosses a line she never planned to cross, and she'll swear it just happened, like accountability fell out of the sky. This is where men get trapped in self-blame. They think, maybe I wasn't exciting enough. Maybe I should have been more toxic. Maybe I should have ignored her more. Maybe I should have treated her worse. And that's the worst conclusion you can make, because it puts you on a path where you become the wrong kind of man to attract the wrong kind of woman. The goal is not to become chaotic, so an unstable woman stays entertained. The goal is to learn the difference between a woman who values peace and a woman who is addicted to drama. One woman sees your stability as safety. Another woman sees your stability as something to exploit or escape. And if you don't learn to spot the difference early, you'll keep giving your best to women who can't hold it. Some women cheat because they crave validation more than they crave commitment. That's the truth that sits underneath a lot of betrayal. Validation is a drug. It makes you feel alive. It makes you feel chosen. It makes you feel important. And the modern world has turned validation into a buffet. Women can post a picture and receive 100 little "I want you" signals in minutes. Even if she never meets those men, her brain still gets the hit. She still gets the dopamine. So when a woman has built her identity on being desired, being in a relationship doesn't automatically shut that off. If anything, it can intensify it, because now she feels like she has security and can still collect attention. That's when cheating becomes easy, because her loyalty isn't anchored in discipline. It's anchored in mood. Now imagine what that does to a good man. A good man thinks, I'm giving you love, I'm giving you commitment, I'm giving you stability. And she's thinking, that's nice, but I still want to feel wanted by everybody. That's not love. That's not partnership. That's entitlement. And entitlement is one of the most dangerous traits in relationships because it makes a person justify anything. When someone feels entitled, they can rationalize betrayal with ease. They can say, you weren't paying attention. You were working too much. We weren't connecting. You didn't make me feel special. And even if there was truth in some of those complaints, cheating is not communication. Cheating is avoidance with a selfish reward. There's a man, steady and loyal, who gets up early, works hard, handles life, and comes home tired but present. He's not perfect, but he's trying. His woman starts spending more time online. She starts posting a little more. She starts responding to DMs just to be nice. She starts enjoying the attention because it makes her feel alive. One guy becomes consistent. He says the things her man doesn't say because her man assumes she already knows. He flirts. He compliments. He makes her feel like she's the most fascinating woman on earth. She starts telling herself it's harmless because it's not physical. Then it becomes late-night conversations. Then it becomes secretive phone behavior. Then it becomes meeting as friends. Then one day there's a moment. And after the moment, she either confesses and cries, or she hides it and becomes colder, or she blames the man for pushing her away. Meanwhile, the good man is sitting there thinking the relationship just got distant, not knowing it already got invaded. That's the part men need to understand. Cheating is rarely a lightning bolt. It's often a staircase. And the earlier steps are the ones you have to learn to recognize. Because once someone is comfortable walking up the staircase, the top isn't as far away as you think. Some women cheat because they don't respect the man they're with. And I know that hurts to hear because men want to believe love is enough. But respect matters. Respect changes how a woman carries herself around temptation. A woman who respects you doesn't play with gray areas. She doesn't entertain men who just want to be friends. She doesn't put herself in positions where she has to fight temptation every weekend. She protects the relationship because she values it and she values you. Respect creates boundaries even when no one is watching. A woman who doesn't respect you behaves differently. She flirts in your face. She posts thirst traps while in a relationship and calls you insecure if you question it. She keeps guy friends who want her. She hides messages. She dismisses your standards. She treats your discomfort as control. And that's the dangerous part, because good men often tolerate disrespect because they don't want to be toxic. They don't want to be controlling. They don't want to be that guy. So they let small things slide and call it trust when it's really fear of enforcing standards. And eventually, those small things turn into big things. That doesn't mean you become a paranoid man policing a woman's every move. It means you choose a woman who already has self-control and respect. Then you lead with standards from the beginning. It means you don't build relationships with women who love attention more than they love loyalty. It means you don't commit to women who treat boundaries like oppression. Because boundaries are not oppression. Boundaries are what keep love safe. A man gets cheated on and he starts thinking maybe love is fake. He starts thinking maybe women can't be loyal. He starts thinking being good is pointless. And then he gets tempted to become the kind of man who never commits, who uses women, who leaves before he can be hurt, who keeps his heart locked behind arrogance. But that's a trap. That trap doesn't protect you. It just turns you into a man who can't receive love, even if it's real. Because you're too busy trying not to lose. The better move is to become wise. Wise men don't hate women. Wise men choose better women. Wise men watch behavior. Wise men set standards. Wise men don't ignore red flags because the woman is beautiful. Wise men don't confuse attraction with character. Wise men understand that loyalty is a trait, not a promise. A promise is words. A trait is what she shows consistently under pressure. And that leads us into the deeper parts of this conversation, because there are more reasons women cheat that have nothing to do with the man being bad. Sometimes it's unresolved trauma. Sometimes it's a woman trying to prove something to herself. Sometimes it's a woman addicted to chaos because peace feels unfamiliar. Sometimes it's revenge because resentment was never addressed properly. Sometimes it's an identity crisis where she's aging and panicking and needs to feel desired again. Those are real things, and we're going to talk about them with honesty, but also with balance. Because the goal is not to demonize. The goal is to understand. If this chapter is already making you think differently, like the video because it helps men stop being naive, share it with a man who needs clarity without becoming hateful. Subscribe to Love Delusion, because we're building men who can love without being blind. Chapter 2. A lot of men don't realize this until it happens to them, but betrayal is one of the most revealing experiences of your life because it shows you the gap between what people say and what they are. A woman can tell you she loves you while she's lying. A woman can tell you you're the best man she's ever had while she's entertaining another man. A woman can tell you she hates cheaters while she's slowly becoming one. And that's not because all women are evil. It's because the modern world allows people to live double lives without consequences. until the consequences finally show up. That's why good men get destroyed emotionally. They were loyal in a world where loyalty is no longer treated like something sacred. The painful truth is this: a lot of women don't cheat because you were bad. They cheat because they were never built for loyalty in the first place. They were built for attention. They were built for excitement. They were built for emotional stimulation. They were built for always having options. And when a woman has that internal wiring, a good man doesn't change her. A good man simply becomes the stable base that gives her comfort while she searches for thrill elsewhere. That's the coldest part. A good man becomes the foundation, and other men become the fireworks. This is why men need to stop worshiping the label good man. Being good is not enough. Being good is the minimum. Being good is being honorable. Being good is being loyal. But you also have to be wise. Good without wisdom gets exploited. Good without standards becomes a doormat. Good without boundaries becomes a safe place for people who don't deserve safety. So if you're watching this and you've been cheated on, the lesson is not become toxic. The lesson is become sharp. Become the kind of man who can see beneath the surface. Become the kind of man who chooses character, not just attraction. Because most men choose women based on how they look and how they make them feel, then they act shocked when that woman acts like who she actually is. The second reason is that many women cheat because they get bored of peace. And I know that sounds crazy, because what kind of person gets bored of peace? But it's real. Some people grew up in chaos, and chaos becomes their baseline. Chaos becomes their sense of normal. So when they finally get a stable relationship with a good man, their nervous system doesn't relax. It panics, because peace feels unfamiliar. Peace feels suspicious. Peace feels empty. Peace feels like something is missing. So they start creating chaos, sometimes unconsciously, sometimes intentionally. They start arguing over small things. They start testing boundaries. They start flirting with other men just to feel something. They start seeking intensity, because intensity feels like love to them. This is why some women will say things like, "He's too nice," and men laugh at it like it's stupid. But what she really means is, "This feels too safe, and I don't know how to live in safety." That's not a compliment. That's a warning. That's unresolved emotional programming, and if you don't recognize it, you will become collateral damage. A woman like this can genuinely like you. She can genuinely love you in her own way, but she will still sabotage because she doesn't know how to maintain stability. She's addicted to emotional spikes. She needs conflict. She needs attention. She needs power struggles. So if she doesn't get that in the relationship, she will seek it outside. And the man she cheats with is not always better than you. Sometimes he's worse. Sometimes he's toxic. Sometimes he's unstable. But he gives her the intensity her nervous system craves. That's why women cheat down. Men don't understand cheating down because men cheat up in looks and convenience. Women often cheat down in quality because what they're chasing is a feeling, not a lifestyle. Imagine a woman who grew up in a home where love was yelling, love was tension, love was instability. Then she meets a good man. He doesn't yell. He doesn't cheat. He's calm. He provides. He communicates. At first she loves it because it feels like relief, but after months go by, her nervous system starts feeling restless. She starts thinking, why doesn't this feel exciting anymore? Instead of looking inward and realizing she's addicted to chaos, she looks outward and blames the man. She says, it feels like we lost the spark. She says, I feel like I need more passion. Then she meets some guy who's unpredictable, who texts late, who's flirtatious, who gives her butterflies. She mistakes butterflies for love. Butterflies are often anxiety, and she follows that anxiety like it's destiny. Now, the third reason women cheat on good men is resentment. Resentment is one of the most underrated relationship killers because it hides behind silence. Women rarely tell you the full truth when resentment starts building. They might hint, they might make comments, they might become passive-aggressive. but they often don't confront it directly until it's too late. And when resentment grows, attraction dies. And when attraction dies, vulnerability becomes harder. And when vulnerability becomes harder, cheating becomes easier. Resentment can come from many things: feeling unappreciated, feeling ignored, feeling like you stopped trying, feeling like you don't listen, feeling like she has to beg for your attention, feeling like she's doing too much, feeling like she's not chosen emotionally. And again, I'm not justifying cheating. Cheating is still wrong, but we're trying to understand the psychology. Resentment makes a woman emotionally detached long before she cheats. Cheating becomes the physical confirmation of an emotional exit that already happened. And this is why some good men get cheated on. Because they were good in the traditional sense: loyal, provider, stable, but emotionally absent, not present, not tuned in. They assumed the relationship would run on autopilot because they weren't doing anything wrong. But relationships don't survive on not doing wrong. They survive on presence. They survive on attention. They survive on leadership. So when resentment grows, a woman starts seeking emotional connection elsewhere. And once she finds someone who listens, who makes her feel seen, who makes her feel desired again, she's vulnerable. If you've ever been in a relationship where you got comfortable, where you stopped courting, where you started assuming she would always be there, you need to understand women read comfort differently than men. A man can be comfortable and still be loyal. A woman can be comfortable and start feeling unseen. Comfort for men often means peace. Comfort for women can feel like neglect if it becomes taken for granted. That's why you can be a good man and still lose her emotionally, not because you weren't loyal, but because you stopped making her feel chosen. Now again, that does not excuse cheating. A mature woman communicates. A mature woman addresses issues directly. A mature woman leaves if she's unhappy instead of betraying. But not every woman is mature. Some women are emotionally immature and conflict avoidant. They would rather cheat than confront. They would rather betray than risk being the bad guy who breaks up. So they create a story that justifies it. They tell themselves, you deserved it. They tell themselves, you pushed them. They tell themselves, it just happened. And that's how they protect their ego. The fourth reason women cheat on good men is opportunity combined with low discipline. This is where men need to stop believing loyalty is just love. Loyalty is self-control. Loyalty is discipline. Loyalty is saying no even when you could say yes. A woman who has discipline will not cheat even if temptation is everywhere. A woman who doesn't have discipline will cheat the moment the right opportunity meets the right mood. And the modern world creates endless opportunities: work trips, clubs, DMs, old flames, guy friends, male attention everywhere. So if you date a woman who doesn't have self-control, you're basically gambling with your sanity. Now, this is where men need to become very honest about the types of women they commit to. If she loves male attention, if she needs to feel wanted by strangers, if she constantly posts for validation, if she keeps exes around, if she has a harmless flirting mindset, that's not harmless. That's her showing you her relationship to temptation. Some men ignore that because she's beautiful. Some men ignore that because they want to be the man who locks her down. But the man who locks her down without character screening will be the man who gets played the hardest. In the next chapter, we're going to go even deeper into the psychological side. We're going to talk about why women cheat for power, why women cheat to punish, why women cheat to prove something, and why some women cheat because they're afraid of aging and losing options. These reasons are darker, but they're real. And understanding them will save you. If you're getting value, like the video because men need this clarity. Share it with a good man who still believes being good protects him. Subscribe to Love Delusion because we speak truth in a world that lies. Chapter 3. The hardest part about talking about female cheating is that people want easy villains and easy heroes. They want to believe the man was perfect and the woman was evil. Or they want to believe the woman was innocent and the man must have done something. But reality is colder than both of those stories. In reality, betrayal usually happens when someone's character is weak and the opportunity is strong. That's it. People don't like that explanation because it removes fantasy. It forces you to accept that loyalty isn't guaranteed by love. Loyalty is guaranteed by character. And the reason this topic hurts is because it attacks men's deepest belief about relationships, which is that if you do right by a woman, she will do right by you. That belief sounds fair. It sounds honorable. It sounds like how the world should work. But relationships aren't karma machines. Women are not loyalty vending machines. And a good man has to learn this without letting it poison him. Because the moment you become bitter, you lose the best part of yourself. You lose your ability to love with strength. You start moving paranoid. You start making women pay for what another woman did. You start demanding proof from women who never betrayed you. And in the end, you become the very thing you feared, a broken man, not because she cheated, but because you couldn't recover your standards and your peace. So let's talk about a reason that no one wants to admit out loud. Some women cheat on good men because cheating makes them feel powerful. This is where men need to stop thinking cheating is always about attraction. Cheating is often about ego. It's about feeling desired. It's about being able to say, I still got it. It's about controlling how men see her. It's about collecting attention like trophies. And for some women, that power is intoxicating. She knows she has a good man. She knows he's loyal. She knows he treats her well. But she also knows men want her, and that knowledge feeds her ego. If her ego is bigger than her morals, she will start testing how far she can go. This type of cheating doesn't happen because you weren't enough. It happens because she enjoyed the feeling of being above consequences. She enjoyed the feeling of having a loyal man at home while still being desired outside. She enjoyed being the prize to multiple men at once. And the scariest part is, women like this often look like angels to the public. They post relationship pictures. They talk about loyalty. They talk about being wifey. They talk about standards. They look innocent. But behind closed doors, their addiction is attention, and they will do anything to keep feeling wanted. Some of you watching know exactly what I'm describing. You dated a woman who loved attention. She loved compliments. She loved men noticing her. She loved being chased. And you thought it was harmless because she was with you. But the truth is, if she needs attention to feel alive, you can never fully satisfy her. No single man can compete with the feeling of 100 men wanting her. And that's why men have to stop confusing beauty with value. Beauty attracts attention. Value attracts loyalty. Not every beautiful woman has value. Some beautiful women are empty inside, and attention is the only thing that makes them feel real. Now, the next reason women cheat is revenge. This one is dark because it can happen even when you think everything is fine. Revenge cheating happens when a woman feels emotionally hurt, disrespected, or rejected, and instead of communicating, she punishes. She might not even tell you she's angry. She might not even argue. She might just quietly decide, I'll show you. And the reason revenge cheating is so brutal is because the other man is not always someone she likes. Sometimes she uses him as a weapon. She uses him to restore her ego. She uses him to feel like she has power again. She uses him to feel like she isn't the one losing. This is why some women cheat after arguments. Some women cheat after feeling ignored. Some women cheat after feeling like you're too busy. Some women cheat after feeling you didn't appreciate them. Again, that doesn't justify it. A mature woman speaks. A mature woman leaves, but an immature woman punishes. And punishment creates betrayal. A woman is with a good man. He's loyal. He works. He provides. But he's busy, and he's not emotionally expressive. Over time, she starts feeling invisible. She starts feeling like she's not desired. She starts feeling like she could disappear and he wouldn't notice. She tries to hint. She tries to get attention. He dismisses it because he thinks he's doing enough by being loyal. Then, one day, she meets a man who listens, a man who compliments her, a man who makes her feel desired. She doesn't cheat immediately, but she begins to use the attention to restore her ego. Then, the good man does something that triggers her resentment again. Maybe he forgets something important or dismisses her emotions. And in that moment, she cheats. Not because she loves the other man, but because she wanted to punish the good man for making her feel unseen. And the crazy part is, she might still come home and act normal. She might still want the relationship. She might still want the stability. But she wanted to hurt him emotionally in a way he would understand. This is how emotionally immature people operate. They don't express pain. They create pain. Some women cheat because they are terrified of aging. They don't say it out loud, but they feel it. They feel time moving. They feel their youth fading. They feel competition rising. They feel the world shifting. And in that fear, they start seeking proof that they are still desired. They seek proof that they can still attract men. They seek proof that their market value is still high. And sometimes that pursuit becomes reckless. This is why you see some women in relationships suddenly start posting more provocative pictures as they get older. It's not always about money or attention. Sometimes it's about panic. It's about insecurity. It's about them trying to confirm they still matter. And if a woman is insecure enough, she will cheat not because she hates her man, but because she hates the idea of being invisible. The other man becomes a mirror. He becomes proof. He becomes validation, and she uses that validation like a drug. A woman might be thinking, I've been loyal, I've been a good partner, but am I still desired? Am I still attractive? Can I still pull men? That insecurity grows. Then a man gives her attention. Then she feels alive again. Then she crosses a line. And once she crosses that line, the guilt might come later, but the dopamine comes first. That's why temptation is so dangerous with insecure people. Insecure people will sacrifice long-term stability for short-term emotional relief. Now, there's another reason women cheat on good men that men don't talk about because it hurts the ego. Some women cheat because they don't actually respect goodness. They respect dominance. They respect power. They respect status. They respect masculine edge. And when they're with a man who is good but not respected, they eventually treat him like a safe backup while chasing excitement elsewhere. This doesn't mean women want bad men. It means women want men they admire. And some men confuse goodness with weakness. They become too accommodating, too agreeable, too soft. They lose their edge. They lose their frame. They stop leading. They start tolerating disrespect. And once a woman stops admiring you, she starts looking for admiration elsewhere. Cheating becomes one of the ways she fills that void. A man can be good and still be masculine. A man can be good and still be strong. A man can be good and still lead. That is the ideal. That is what women truly crave. The mistake is when men become good in a way that removes their masculinity. They become passive. They become afraid of conflict. They become afraid to set boundaries. They become afraid to say no. They become afraid to discipline. That is not goodness. That is insecurity disguised as kindness. And women will test it. Cheating is not always about you. It is often about the woman's internal world, her insecurities, her ego, her character, her relationship to discipline, her relationship to attention, her relationship to accountability. And that means the best protection against betrayal is not becoming toxic. It's becoming selective. It's learning how to vet women. It's learning how to spot patterns early. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about the warning signs men ignore before cheating happens. The subtle behaviors that reveal a woman's relationship with loyalty. The early red flags that good men excuse because they don't want to be controlling. And I'm going to show you how a wise man protects his heart without becoming paranoid. If this chapter hit you, like the video because it takes courage to speak on this honestly. Share it with a man who needs to stop blaming himself for a woman's character. Subscribe to Love Delusion because we teach men truth, not fantasy. Chapter 4. A lot of betrayal could be avoided if men had the courage to see reality early instead of hoping love will fix character. That's what most good men do wrong. They assume that if they love her enough, if they treat her well enough, if they provide enough, if they stay loyal enough, the relationship will naturally be safe. But safety doesn't come from love. Safety comes from boundaries, discipline, and values. Love is emotional. Values are structural. And when you build a relationship on feelings without structure, you're building on sand. This is why warning signs matter. Not because you should live paranoid, not because you should accuse women of cheating for breathing, but because the signs show you the quality of the person you're dealing with. Some men don't want to look at signs because they're scared of losing her. They're scared of being alone. They're scared they won't find another woman as attractive. So they ignore patterns that should disqualify her. And then later, when she betrays them, they act shocked. But the truth is, a lot of men knew something was off. They just didn't want to accept it. So what are the warning signs? The first sign is that she craves male attention and doesn't see it as a problem. This is not just about posting pictures online. It's deeper than that. It's the way she talks about attention. It's the way she lights up when men validate her. It's the way she needs compliments to feel stable. It's the way she gets irritated if you don't react to her content. It's the way she flirts and calls it personality. It's the way she keeps orbiters around. A woman who craves male attention will always be vulnerable to cheating because she's addicted to being desired. And addictions don't disappear because she's in a relationship. Addictions become hidden, but they still exist. The second warning sign is secrecy. Secrecy is not privacy. Privacy is having your own space. Secrecy is having something to hide. A woman who hides her phone, who turns it away when you walk in, who suddenly changes passwords, who gets defensive when you ask basic questions, who acts like you're controlling when you're simply observing suspicious behavior. That is a red flag. A loyal woman doesn't need to hide. She might not give you full access to everything, but she also doesn't behave like someone guarding a double life. The third warning sign is disrespect disguised as independence. This one is tricky because men get gaslit into thinking standards are insecurity. A woman will do disrespectful things and call it freedom. She'll keep male friends who clearly want her and say you're insecure if you don't like it. She'll go out and entertain attention and say you're controlling if you ask questions. She'll post provocative content and say you're jealous if it bothers you. She'll cross boundaries and then attack you for reacting. That's not independence, that's entitlement. A woman who respects you considers your feelings. She doesn't have to obey you, but she also doesn't disregard you. Relationships require mutual respect. If she frames every boundary as control, she is not built for commitment. The fourth warning sign is emotional immaturity. This shows up in how she handles conflict. If she can't communicate, if she avoids accountability, if she blames everyone else, if she becomes childish when confronted, if she runs away instead of talking, if she uses silent treatment, if she uses jealousy games, she is not safe. Emotional immaturity is dangerous because it creates situations where cheating becomes an escape. A mature woman addresses issues. An immature woman seeks relief and hides it. Imagine you're with a woman and you notice she loves attention. She loves male validation. She has a lot of guys in her DMs. You bring it up calmly. She gets defensive. She calls you insecure. She says, "I'm not doing anything wrong." You decide to trust her because you don't want to be controlling. You want to be the good man. Months later, you find out she was entertaining conversations the whole time. And when you confront her, she says, "I told you they didn't matter." That is the type of woman who was never safe. She was always playing in the gray zone, and the moment a man came along who she liked more, she crossed into black and white. The fifth warning sign is that she keeps exes around. This one is not always a guarantee of cheating, but it's a high-risk pattern. A woman who keeps exes in her life is keeping emotional doors open. She might say they're friends, but most of the time, That connection exists because there's still an emotional thread. That thread becomes dangerous when the relationship gets stressed. Because when she's angry at you, she has someone familiar to run to. She has someone who already knows her. She has someone who has already been inside her life. And those are the most dangerous cheating situations because the betrayal feels almost inevitable when emotions rise. The sixth warning sign is instability. This includes unstable behavior like constant mood swings, impulsive decisions, partying excessively, needing constant stimulation, craving drama, craving conflict, living for adrenaline. A woman who is unstable is not safe because stability is what protects loyalty. Loyalty requires discipline. Discipline requires stability. A chaotic woman might be fun, but she's dangerous to build with. And good men often get trapped here because they confuse excitement with love. They think passion equals commitment. It doesn't. Passion is a feeling. Commitment is a choice. Now, the seventh warning sign is subtle but critical. It's when she doesn't respect your masculinity, when she mocks your boundaries, when she laughs at your standards, when she speaks to you like you're weak, when she tests you constantly, when she doesn't admire you. Women don't cheat on men they admire easily. Admiration creates loyalty. Admiration makes her protect you in public and private. But when admiration is missing, she becomes vulnerable to outside attention. The more she sees you as a safe option instead of a man she respects, the more dangerous the relationship becomes. Because then she starts behaving like she can replace you. A man is loyal, stable, and good. But he ignores early signs. His woman flirts openly. She posts thirst traps. She gets defensive about her phone. She dismisses his standards. She calls him insecure. He stays because he loves her. He thinks love will fix it. Then one day she cheats. And suddenly he becomes the man who never saw it coming. But deep down, he saw it. He just didn't want to believe it. That's why men need to become honest, not hateful, not paranoid, honest. Because love without truth is delusion, and delusion is what gets good men hurt. This is where love delusion comes in. The point of this channel is to keep men from living in fantasy, to keep men from sacrificing their dignity for beauty, to keep men from worshiping women who don't deserve it, to keep men from calling red flags just being a woman. Because the truth is, good women exist, loyal women exist, but they are not always the loudest. They are not always the most attention-seeking. They are not always the most provocative. They are often quieter, more disciplined, more peaceful. And men overlook them because they're chasing what looks exciting. In the final chapter, we're going to talk about what to do as a man to protect yourself without becoming cold. How to set standards without controlling, how to choose women wisely, how to become the type of man women respect and won't risk losing, and how to recover from betrayal without becoming bitter. If this chapter is helping you, like the video because it saves good men from pain. Share it with a man who needs to stop ignoring warning signs. Subscribe to Love Delusion because we speak truth that protects you. Chapter 5. If you've made it this far, then you already understand something most men never fully learn until it destroys them. Cheating isn't just an accident. It's not always some random mistake. It's often a predictable outcome of character, environment, temptation, and lack of boundaries. And the reason good men get cheated on so often isn't because women hate good men. It's because good men are the ones most likely to ignore warning signs in the name of being noble. They want to trust. They want to believe love is enough. They want to believe loyalty is automatic if you're loyal. And that worldview feels honorable, but it's also dangerously naive in a world where a lot of people are undisciplined and emotionally immature. So what do you do with this information without becoming bitter? That's the real question. Because bitterness is the coward's way out. Bitterness feels like strength at first, but it's actually weakness. It's a man letting another person's actions define his future. It's a man letting betrayal steal his softness, his hope, his leadership, and his ability to build something real. A wise man doesn't become bitter. A wise man becomes selective. He becomes sharper. He upgrades his standards. He tightens his boundaries. He learns how to see character early. And then he chooses peace. The first thing you have to understand is that loyalty is not something you demand. It's something you screen for. A lot of men think they can turn a woman loyal by loving her enough. They think they can transform her by being the right man. But loyalty isn't a switch you flip in someone. Loyalty is a trait. It's a discipline. It's a value system. And if she didn't have it before you, she won't magically develop it because you're nice. She might pretend. She might behave temporarily. But eventually, her true nature returns under pressure. That's why selecting the right woman matters more than trying to perfect yourself for the wrong woman. A loyal woman doesn't just avoid cheating. She avoids the path to cheating. She doesn't put herself in temptation. She doesn't entertain orbiters. She doesn't keep emotional doors open. She doesn't live in gray zones. She doesn't need external validation constantly. She doesn't treat male attention like a hobby. She doesn't argue with you about boundaries because she understands boundaries protect love. She doesn't want to play games. She wants peace. That is the woman a good man deserves. And good men need to stop thinking those women are boring. Peace isn't boring. Peace is rare. Peace is luxury. The second thing is that you need standards early, not after you're attached. Most men introduce standards when it's too late. They wait until disrespect happens. They wait until she crosses a line. They wait until she already feels like she owns you. Then they try to set rules. But rules without consequences are just requests. If you want a woman to respect you, you have to lead with standards from day one. That doesn't mean being controlling. That means being clear about what you tolerate and what you don't. It means being willing to walk away. Because the man who can't walk away cannot be respected long term. He can be used, he can be played with, he can be taken for granted, but respected requires the ability to leave. This is the part many men struggle with because they confuse walking away with hatred. They think if they leave, it means they're mean. But walking away is not hatred. Walking away is self-respect. Walking away is saying, I love myself enough to not accept this. And women respect that. Even women who don't like it. Even women who cry about it. Deep down, women respect men with standards. Because standards create structure. Structure creates safety. And safety creates attraction. The third thing is you must maintain your masculinity inside the relationship. A lot of men get comfortable and lose themselves. They stop leading. They stop pursuing their purpose. They stop holding their frame. They stop challenging. They stop being the man she admired in the beginning. They become passive. They become too agreeable. They become emotionally reactive. They begin relying on her for validation. And that shift kills admiration. And once admiration dies, the relationship becomes vulnerable. A woman might not cheat immediately, but her attraction starts dropping. And when attraction drops, attention outside becomes more tempting. You don't need to become toxic. You just need to remain grounded in your purpose. Women stay loyal to men they admire. Admiration comes from strength. Strength comes from discipline. Discipline comes from direction. That's why a man without direction becomes easy to betray, not because he's worthless, but because he becomes easy to take for granted. A man with gravity makes a woman feel like she's part of something bigger, and women protect what they value. Now let me talk directly to the man watching who has been cheated on. If that happened to you, I want you to understand something. Her betrayal was not your identity. It was her character. It was her discipline. It was her choices. And yes, maybe you had flaws. Maybe you weren't perfect. But cheating is never the mature solution. If she was unhappy, she should have communicated. If she was unhappy, she should have left. Betrayal is not a communication tool. Betrayal is selfishness. So don't turn her betrayal into your permanent insecurity. Don't start policing women because one woman lacked morals. Don't start demanding proof from every woman because one woman didn't deserve trust. Heal, upgrade, learn, then move forward with wisdom. The fourth thing is you need to stop chasing women who crave attention. If you want peace, stop dating chaos. If you want loyalty, stop committing to women who are addicted to validation. It's that simple. A woman who lives for attention is not built for long-term commitment unless she has deep discipline. And most don't. Attention is a drug. The more she gets, the more she needs. So don't commit to a woman who behaves like she's still single. Don't commit to a woman who needs to prove she's desired by strangers. Don't commit to a woman who calls boundaries insecurity. Those women are high risk. And high risk is not a compliment when you're building a legacy. Now let's talk about recovery, because some men don't know how to recover. They go one of two extremes. They become overly trusting again and repeat the same mistake, or they become cold and treat every woman like she's guilty. Both extremes are weakness. The balance is wisdom. Wisdom means you can still love, but you're not blind. You can still trust, but you verify character. You can still commit, but you don't commit blindly. You don't commit because you're lonely. You commit because she has proven she deserves access to you. A man who learns this becomes unstoppable because he stops being naive. He stops being desperate. He stops being blinded by beauty. He starts choosing based on what actually matters: respect, discipline, loyalty, peace, consistency. And when you start choosing based on those traits, your relationships change. Your life changes. The women you attract change, because what you tolerate becomes your life. If you've been hurt before, I know this topic isn't just content. It's personal. But let that pain turn into wisdom, not bitterness. Let it turn into standards, not paranoia. Let it turn into strength, not hatred. Because the ultimate win is not getting revenge. The ultimate win is building a life so solid that betrayal can't break you, and choosing a woman so disciplined that she wouldn't even risk losing you. If this video helped you, like it because it spreads truth. Subscribe to Love Delusion because we build men with clarity and standards. Share it with a good man who needs to stop being naive. Comment wisdom if you're done living in fantasy and ready to move like a man who sees reality.